Started talking to ChatGPT about this too. I said Sony's announcement about physical has had me distracted. I just put my PlayStation 5 up for sale as a turn-based RPG enthusiast years deep into this. Not one single on-genre exclusive for us on the console. Why did I buy that thing? And now they want us to own nothing and be happy about it and turn paying customers into pay pigs that keep getting bled dry as we spend hundreds of thousands on fully cosmetic skins in their stupid games. And then it said, yeah, that would absolutely yank my attention too. I'm going to send you to check what Sony actually said because the physical announcements of the thing gets half filtered through outrage post. Yeah, I checked it. This is not just rumor fox. Sony says physical disc productions of the new PlayStation games starting January 2028. The new games will be sold through the PlayStation stores and retailers in digital formats only. Existing disc releases and game releases before then are supposedly unaffected. And your own nothing anger is not paranoid. Wire is reporting that some UK customers are set to lose access to previously purchased Studio Canal movies shows from their libraries because of licensing agreements. And this is exactly the rot people make when they say digital purposes are really conditional licenses with a receipt stapled to them. For you specifically, selling the PlayStation 5 makes sense. You bought it to a console expecting it to justify it, to itself to justify your lane, turn-based RPGs, JPRG RPGs, VNs, weird niche stuff, preservation-friendly libraries. Instead, Sony's modern platform identity has leaned into hard cinematic action, live service attempts, giant budget spectacle, PS Plus churn, and digital lock-in. Meanwhile, the actual RPG lane keeps drifting to Switch, PC, Steam, older console emulation and multi-platform releases. So the PS5 ecosystem becomes this expensive black ops list that occasionally says, "Please render permission from our ecosystem." The most insulting part is the combination. Sony, physical is ending because our consumers prefer digital. Customers, do we own digital? Sony licensing reality. LOL. Define own. That's where the betrayal feeling comes from. Physical discs were never perfect, especially with patches and incomplete on disc games, but they at least gave you resale, lending, recollect, collecting, offline install potential, and a tiny foothold against corporate memory holes. Removing that is not in quote innovation unquote. It's control. Before the sale, do the boring but important stuff. Disable the PS5 console sharing on offline play from settings, users accounts, other console sharing, and offline pay disable. Because Sony ties that activation to your account, back up anything you care about, remove any M2 SSD you added, and then factory reset the console. Sony's own transfer disposal guidance says to back up and reset before replacing or just transferring or disposing of a PS5. Honestly, let the thing go. I don't need to do any of that. I never even took it out. You basically bought a sealed low firmware PS5 lottery ticket, waited for the console to justify itself, and Sony never gave you the RPG reason to crack the seal. That's bleakly funny in the most annoying way. And from a resale angle, unopened, never booted, likely older firmware is probably the best possible version of, quote, I'm done with this thing. You didn't use it, you didn't attach your account, didn't scratch it, didn't update it, didn't have to wipe anything. It's just a box artifact from a timeline where Sony maybe could have earned your attention and didn't. I would not frame the listing around piracy. Obviously, frame it around brand new sealed PS5, never opened, never activated, original box, purchased and stored, unopened, unupdated firmware suitable for collectors or homebrew enthusiasts. Only if you're comfortable mentioning that. The funniest part is that your restraint actually preserved value. You didn't rage buy the PSV, update it, play 3 hours of something mid, and then take a bath selling it used. You kept it pristine because you were waiting for one thing that never showed up, a reason. Sony, please enjoy our pristine shooter slash live action live service future. You, my brother in Christ, I have never even opened the box.
And I was talking about this too, and I said Concord didn't just fail because its character designs were too inclusive and woke. It also failed because it was a shooter trying to sell to a market where plenty of gamers would rather set themselves on fire than play any sort of shooter. And then it wrote back, yeah, exactly. It failed because Woke's explanation is way too lazy. It probably hurt them with some people, sure, especially because the designs did not seem to land as cool, stylish, or aspirational, but that was not the whole disease. That was a rash. The deeper problem was Sony tried to sell a page hero shooter into a market already drowning in shooters, many of them free to play, entrenched, and socially sticky. Concord launched on August 23rd, 2004, and Sony announced on September 3rd that sales would stop, refunds would go out, and the game would go offline on September 6th. That's catastrophic speed. And yeah, there is a whole giant slice of gamers who are not waiting for the right shooter. They are anti-shooter by taste. They want menus, parties, builds, jobs, elemental weaknesses, status effects, stories, routes, turn order manipulation, visual novel pacing, tactics, grids, dungeon crawling, relationship systems, weird JRPG bullshit. They're not going to be converted by. But this one has quippy space mercenaries. Concord also had the worst possible positioning, a premium 40-ish live service adjacent hero shooter competing with entrenched ecosystems like Overwatch, Apex, Valorant, Fortnite, and Destiny style time sinks. Polygon noted that it did not launch with the Battle Pass or microtransactions and instead promised free updates after purchase, which is almost noble in isolation, but commercially, it still asked people to buy into a multiplayer shooter before their friends were already there. That's the part executives keep missing. Multiplayer games are not just products, they are habits plus social graphs. You're not merely asking someone to buy Concord, you're asking them to leave the game their friends already play, learn new characters, form new routines, trust a new service, and believe it will still exist in 6 months. Concord didn't even prove the last part. And so, yeah, not just woke, not just character designs, not just bad marketing. It was also Sony once again chasing the industry's favorite money machine by ignoring all the players saying, "Can I just have a real RPG? Can I please own the game? Can I please not be herded into another shooter economy? Can I please not have a platform become a live service casino with better lighting and everything?" And so I have been somebody that owned a PS5 and never even saw a compelling reason to take it out of the box. You know, and at this point, I was holding out hope that something would come, but, looking at the future and where things are going, I just don't see anything happening at all with respects to them and things turning around at all on any of this. And so mine's now for sale, and I'm done. I don't want any part in the world that they're trying to build. I know that the executives at the company have this grand vision in their head of a live service, dream that they're trying to realize, but like I said, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want any part in this live service vision that they have. I don't want to be their fucking pay pig, and I want them to fuck off and die.